All right, just getting set up here. Bear with me. All the devices, all the fun devices. Going on TikTok Live, even though sometimes I don't know why I bother. I just want to make sure all of the feeds are working. And then we'll get started. Okay, just waiting for people to filter in a little bit. Just bear with me. I put the show was starting up around 10:05. Okay, starting up here in just a minute. Nope, that's not what I want. Okay, everyone kind of just joining in on YouTube and Rumble. We're getting started in just a minute here with some of the news, catching up with some of the stuff. All right, so we're just gonna get started here, and then we're gonna go from there. So, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Relief Valve Podcast. It is the Monday after Sunday Shitbag Roundup, that special episode when I don't get to do the show on Sunday, so I do one on Monday. So I wanted to start off on a little bit of a happy note because we've got a lot of bad news and we've got a lot of crazy things going on. So I wanted to start with something funny. Um, this has been going around. I think I saw this on TikTok. This was hilarious. This guy, he's I think he's an influencer, TikTok influencer. He dresses up as a white guy at the races and gets this bodysuit that is just amazingly done. I mean, whoever did this, if they're not already working in Hollywood, they should be. But I'm going to show you the skit after this. But here's just a picture of him before I started, of him at the races interacting with people like a Daytona 500 type of thing. But I'll show you that after this. So Drewski is known for his viral comedy skit videos, but his latest prank might be his most controversial yet. In a video uploaded across his socials last night, Drewski, who is African American, is disguised as a white patriot while attending last weekend's NASCAR event. His costume is incredibly detailed, complete with tan lines, a messy mullet, and head-to-toe white body paint that completely disguises his race. In less than 12 hours, the video has gained 1 million likes. In the skit, he plays a stereotype of a white Republican patriot, singing Born in the USA and questioning the innocent black men who walk past him. There's one particular part that's hilarious. Drewski seems to have most of the people in the video fooled as they treat him like a regular patriot. One clip showing Drewski listening to the national anthem features professional race car driver Ty Gibbs, who looks like he's struggling to hold back his laughter. This is the most impressive white face I've ever seen. The makeup must have taken hours. Laughing my ass off, said one ex-post with almost 200K likes. This can't be Drewski, said another. The reactions to the viral sketch are very positive, and people are mind blown at the level of commitment Drewski and his team took to create his new character. So here's him right here doing another funny skit on his in his Instagram or on TikTok as well, I guess. Andrew Desbordes, known online as Drewski, is a sketch comedian, actor, and influencer based in Maryland. He's collaborated with major celebrities like Drake and Jack Harlow. The 30-year-old recently placed second on Rolling Stone's most influential creators of 2025 list. Drewski's comedy sketches make fun of multiple stereotypes, like fashion influencers and frat boys. He doesn't shy away from creating skits around political tension. The comedian had a slow burn career rise, blowing up during the pandemic. His most popular comedy series is Could Have Been Love, a parody dating show with a real cash prize. He told Rolling Stone he gets his inspiration from skits from his everyday life. Even when I experience things that may get on my nerves, or like we experience situations that may be bad, I'm always like, let me just live in the moment. Drewski said, you can always get a comedic material from anything. So here's some of the video of him playing out the part. And let's make sure the video, and it's hilarious. When I first saw this, I'm like, white dude does white face. Like, I don't get this. I don't understand this, because I didn't know who he was until I really got to see it all. Here's some of it.
Here's the love. Here's the honor. If you can't come in her, come on her. Yeah. Hey, Suanna.
She's not listening.
Hey, come up. You need to listen to your nana. Go ahead, baby.
6 o'clock.
Girl, you crazy now.
He spits in front of the black guy when he walks by.
Hey, me, Ma. How you doing, baby? How you doing, baby? Good. All right, now. Hey, you lost, boy?
No, I'm going to a race.
You lost what?
NASCAR race.
You going to NASCAR?
Yes, sir. A little bit.
You ain't lost, did you?
No, I'm good. I'm going to the race, sir.
You sure about that?
Yes, sir.
Find something safe to do, boy.
You lost or something?
Oh, that fucker will go.
Who are you?
I see. Dan Arthur.
Randy Van Devin.
Dan Arthur. Oh, South Dakota.
Yeah.
Damn right. Proud to be American.
So I thought it was hilarious, and one of the things I think about when I see something like this is some people are going to be angry about it, some people are going to be laughing, and it's what happened with the wherever the cultural appropriation crap came from. It started with, well, you can't dress the way you want or be who you want to be on Halloween. Your favorite actress, your favorite singer, your favorite Hollywood stuntman, whatever it was. You want to be a Native American, dress up as an Indian, right? It all ended up becoming offensive, and you weren't allowed to do it. You were appropriating the culture of someone else, and then it became racist and offensive, and the whole thing was just absolute garbage. It never should have happened. You should be able to have stuff like this and have fun. I'm not offended by this at all. I think this was hilarious. I think this guy did an amazing job doing this whole setup. And whoever set him up with I guess they painted his body white or put that stuff on there, or maybe he's wearing a body suit. I don't really know. But awesome job, and I thought it was hilarious when I saw it. And it's just, it plays towards a cultural appropriation thing. You should be okay to have fun and dress up as somebody else or be your favorite person or character or whatever it is, and not be like you're offending someone by doing this. So kudos to him. I'm gonna find him and follow him on. I'll follow him on here for now, but he's on TikTok somewhere, so I got to try and find him on TikTok. But the guy's funny. I love it. All right. So let's get into what's going on in Venezuela and kind of get through that a little bit. So the thing with Venezuela, it's you had we're there, we're sending ships in, and we're taking all this action, and you might be thinking to yourself, what the hell are we doing this for, and what has it got to do with us? Well, it started with corrupt elections that ended up putting a dictator into office. That's Nicolas Maduro. Just to give you, regardless of where you sit on this, it's none of our business. Let's get the hell out of there, or we should go and take over. Whatever side of the fence that you're on. Just a little bit of context of where this is coming from and why you should care about, or care or not care, depending on where you are, on what's going on in Venezuela. So, Nicolas Maduro Moros is currently the president of Venezuela. Is a Venezuelan politician, a former union leader and dictator who has been serving as the 53rd president of Venezuela since 2013, a member of the United Socialist Party. He previously served as the 24th vice president under Hugo Chavez, which was a really bad dictator, from 2012 to 2013, and was also the Minister of Foreign Affairs from 2006 to 2012. Beginning his working life as a bus driver, Maduro rose to become a trade union leader before being elected to the National Assembly in 2000. He was appointed to a number of positions under President Hugo Chavez, serving as the president of the National Assembly from 2005 to 2006, as Minister of Foreign Affairs from 2006 to 2012, and as the vice president from 12 to 2013 under Chavez. After Chavez's death was announced on March 5th, 2013, Maduro assumed the presidency. A special presidential election was held on the 14th of April 2013, where Maduro was declared the winner with 50.62% of the vote as the United Socialist Party of Venezuela candidate. He was ruled Venezuela by decree since 2015 through powers granted to him by the ruling party legislator. Shortages in Venezuela and decreased living standards led to a wave of protests in 2014 that escalated into daily marches, nationwide repression of dissent, and decline in Maduro's popularity. Sorry, I had messages coming in on one of my other sites too, so I was checking that out. Maduro maintained power through the Supreme Tribunal, the National Electoral Council, and the military. The Supreme Tribunal removed power from the elected National Assembly, resulting in a constitutional crisis and another wave of protests in 2017. As a response to the protests, Maduro called for a rewrite of the Constitution, and the Constituent Assembly of Venezuela was elected in 2017 under voting conditions that many concluded were irregular. On the 20th of May 2018, presidential elections were held. President Maduro was sworn in on 10th of January 2019 with widespread condemnation, and the president of the National Assembly, Juan Guaido, was declared interim president on 23rd January 2019 by the opposition legislative body, kicking off a presidential crisis that spanned nearly 4 years and divided the international community. So, Maduro is widely considered a dictator, leading an authoritarian government, characterized by electoral fraud, serious human rights abuses, rampant corruption, and serving economic hardship. Between 2013 and 23, Venezuela dropped 42 places in the Press Freedom Index, according to estimations by the United Nations and Human Rights Watch. Under Maduro's administration, more than 20,000 people have been subject to extrajudicial killings, and 7 million Venezuelans have been forced to flee the country. The UN fact-finding mission on Venezuela has been forced to flee. The country. The fact-finding mission on Venezuela concluded the country's justice system independence has been deeply eroded. The mission also identified frequent due process violations, including political external interference and the omission of evidence through torture. So the reason I'm reading all that to you is to give you a context as to why Trump is moving on Venezuela right now, and is, at least they're using the excuse, in my opinion, for going after drugs. So, as you probably heard recently, a drug boat was taken out by the U.S. Navy. Here's some of that.
Dramatic video of the U.S. blowing up a boat in the southern Caribbean. President Trump says it was carrying drugs from Venezuela and that the strike killed 11 members of the notorious gang Tren de Aragua, or TDA.
We have a lot of drugs pouring into our country, coming in for a long time. And we just, these came out of Venezuela. We took it out.
Last month, the Pentagon deployed 3 guided missile destroyers to...
Now, just real quick, the Tren de Aragua, you'll remember we've been dealing with here in the United States. It took over an apartment building in one city, and they were going after people and killing people. And, these dangerous Venezuelan illegal immigrants, we've been having a problem with that in the United States as well. And that's these criminals and people with bad intentions fleeing Venezuela coming here.
International waters near Venezuela after President Trump designated several drug cartels, as well as TDA, foreign terrorist organizations. The U.S. did pull off a large-scale prisoner swap with Venezuela this summer. Now tensions with Venezuelan leader Nicolás Maduro are rapidly escalating.
The Maduro regime is not the legitimate government of Venezuela. It is a narco-terror cartel.
Tonight, the president saying no U.S. forces were hurt in the strike. Maduro has claimed that the U.S. military buildup in the Caribbean is aimed at overthrowing his government, and he's deployed troops along his borders. Tonight, a senior White House official is downplaying any possibility of the U.S. invading Venezuela, but says the president will use any means necessary to tackle drug cartels. Tom?
All right, Gabe Gutierrez leading us off with that new video tonight.
All right, so now it's been escalating where Maduro is calling up basically militia. They don't have anything that could fight back against us, but they're claiming that they want to take action against the United States or they will take hostile force in defending their borders. So he's calling up 40 million, militia and kind of ragtag idiots in order to fight back against the American Navy and what's happening there. Here's some of that.
American lives with deadly drugs. White House press secretary.
Back a little bit here.
Three U.S. Navy destroyers carrying 4,000 Marines are now heading toward Venezuela's coast. This comes as President Trump labels the Maduro government a cartel threatening American lives with deadly drugs. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt declared yesterday,
You're welcome. Emily.
Thanks, Caroline. I wanted to ask about the 3 U.S. warships that are being sent to Venezuela, and there's 4,000 Marines on board. Are you looking at the possibility of boots on the ground there?
What I will say with respect to Venezuela, President Trump has been very clear and consistent. He's prepared to use every element of American power to stop drugs from flooding into our country and to bring those responsible to justice. The Maduro regime is not the legitimate government of Venezuela. It is a narco-terror cartel. In Maduro, it is the view of this administration, is not a legitimate president. He is a fugitive head of this cartel who has been indicted in the United States for trafficking drugs into the country.
The USS Gravely, USS Jason Dunham, and USS Sampson are operating in international waters for what Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth calls counter-narcotics operations. These warships bring surveillance capabilities that can track drug shipments leaving Venezuelan ports bound for American streets. But Venezuela's response shows they're taking this deployment as a direct threat to their regime. President Maduro mobilized 4.5 million militia members across Venezuela within hours of the deployment news breaking.
4.5 million.
He banned all drone flights for 30 days and accused Washington of launching bizarre threats against Venezuelan sovereignty. The empire has gone mad, Maduro told supporters at a Caracas rally yesterday. This naval show of force follows Trump's decision to double the bounty on Maduro's head to $50 million last week. Attorney General Pam Bondi also announced the seizure of $700 million in Venezuelan government assets tied to drug trafficking. The timing matters here. Fentanyl deaths killed over 70,000 Americans in 2023, with much of it flowing through Venezuelan trafficking routes. Pentagon sources confirm these ships will remain in international waters for several months, conducting intelligence operations. No ground troops will enter Venezuelan territory at this stage. Venezuelan Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello warned, We are deployed throughout the Caribbean in our sea, our property, Venezuelan territory. The last time America positioned this many Marines near Venezuela was during the 2019 crisis, when Trump first refused to recognize Maduro's presidency. Secretary of State Marco Rubio emphasized yesterday, the Maduro regime is not the legitimate government of Venezuela. It is a narco-terror cartel. Military analysts note these destroyers carry Tomahawk cruise missiles with ranges exceeding 1,000 miles, easily reaching Venezuelan drug labs inland. Dr. James Morrison from the Naval War College explains, these ships provide real-time intelligence on drug shipments while demonstrating America's ability to project power. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum rejected any U.S. military intervention in Mexico, drawing clear lines about national sovereignty. The 4,000 Marines aboard these vessels trained specifically for boarding operations and coastal raids. Their presence sends a message beyond surveillance capabilities. Venezuelan militia forces lack the naval assets to challenge U.S. warships in international waters effectively. But Maduro's massive militia mobilization creates risks for any future escalation. Defense officials stress this mission focuses on disrupting drug networks, not regime change operations. Yet the language from Washington suggests patience is running thin. Maduro is a fugitive head of this cartel who has been indicted in the United States, Levitt reminded reporters. The deployment represents America's most aggressive military posture toward Venezuela since recognizing opposition leader Juan Guaido in 2019. For now, these warships will gather intelligence on drug routes, while 4,000 Marines stand ready for whatever comes next.
So you guys let me know what you think. He won. He didn't win, but he took over illegally and became the leader of Venezuela. And then, they're running drugs and sending illegal immigrants here. So, you guys let me know, do you think that America's actions here are justified? Should we be there? Should we be wasting the time with it? America has kind of always played big brother of the world. And I think Trump is trying to do some good by bringing some calm to these areas that are absolutely out of control, right? People are fleeing these countries because they're shitholes and they don't want to live there. And then they end up coming here. Well, if they actually fix what was going on in their own countries, and maybe there was a better quality of life there, maybe people would want to remain there and just be visitors of America instead of trying to find the way to sneak into America. But you guys can let me know in the comments what you all think about, an American fleet being sent to kind of blockade Venezuela a little bit and catch the drugs coming out of there. I mean, overall net positive, I guess, that they're catching the drugs coming out of Venezuela. But you guys let me know where your thoughts are on it. All right, so let's see. I'm a little behind the ball on this one, but I wanted to cover it. If anyone has heard about the Take Us North, the illegal immigrant simulator. So Asmongold ended up kind of blowing up the story on this, so much so that the company producing it ended up making their page private or erasing everything from it. And this is where you can play apparently their goal here is for you to play a very nice and very well-meaning coyote and a coyote that sneaks people across the border into the United States. Now, you're not one of the realistic coyotes that take advantage of people, take their money, rape and attack the women and young children that are in the group, or leave you to die in the desert at the first sign of trouble. No, this one is a very kind-hearted coyote that you will be. And you are helping illegal immigrants cross a border and break a country's laws so that you can go live a different life in the United States. It even has Border Patrol in it, where you have to dodge Border Patrol vehicles and helicopters with spotlights that are trying to find you. Let's hear a little bit of Asmongold talking about this.
At Gamescom, they're currently showcasing a game about illegally crossing into the USA and processing the trauma from being a minority with real audio clips from real illegals. I have to see this. I have to see it. I want to watch it. This is content. Wait a minute. Okay, we might have something here. Let's get it.
My pronouns are she, her, and
shit!
My pronouns are she, her. Fucking mentally ill bitch.
I just got triggered.
Great. So I got a little intro. Thank you. My name's Carla Reyes. My pronouns are she, her. And yeah, I run a little indie studio called Anima Interactive. We're developing Take Us North, which is about migration across the U.S.-Mexico border, which is obviously a very relevant and heavy-hitting topic.
Yeah.
But that's why we found it important to talk about now.
No,
and
not
I'll share a little bit about our behind the
scenes.
In the development of this project, because it's very deeply rooted in research. Given how sensitive and complex and nuanced the subject matter is, we want to make sure that we are telling these stories.
Are they going to research the way that illegal migrants steal the identities of American citizens and then claim their benefits illegally? I wonder if they're going to talk about that.
Authentically, and that we are reaching our goal in trying to shift hearts and minds around this. So before I begin, I'm actually curious.
Yeah, this isn't a game. It's propaganda. Of course. Obviously it is.
To ask all of you, because I'm mindful there might not be many Americans in the room. Are there any Americans, by the way? No, okay.
So to add context to this gaming thing happened here. It was in Germany. That's why she's asking, are there any Americans here? You know, my natural assumption when I saw this was GameCon or whatever in America, but it isn't. They were international.
Oh, okay, that's good. Okay, so could I ask what are your perceptions around like the motivations behind migration across the U.S.-Mexico border? Like, what are you hearing in the headlines in the news? I'm just curious. You can shout things out, or go ahead. Trump out, yes, okay.
We gotta get Trump out! So this plays to, I mean, already this is all garbage. But she asks a question of the group, and it is, what do you think are the things that illegals go through, and what plays to the difficulties in everything that pertains to my shit game that I'm making? And these fucking retards that are in the crowd go, "What? He's got to get Trump out of office. That's why the illegals are coming. Cause you get Trump out of office." Like this is the intelligence level of the left. In a nutshell, they don't have a legitimate answer. They can't actually talk to you about what's going on. They just have to scream out things that they've heard on MSNBC or CNN. Because they have no real clue what's going on.
Anyone else?
I just hope that China and Korea can save us from this madness. Maybe like South America can. Oh my God. There's somebody gotta do this. Like, this is bad.
What do you think is the primary motivation for people from Latin America or otherwise crossing the U.S.-Mexico border?
Who cares?
Violence.
Great. Okay, violence. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyone
that's
else?
the problem.
Else?
I agree. I used to live in El Salvador some years, and violence is the main.
Yes. Okay. So this is great because I think like in the U.S., one of the narratives that's being pushed is obviously, you've probably heard this. Americans or they'll often say Latin Americans, or they'll be reductive to Mexicans. They will say like they're just stealing our jobs, right? Like
they are. It's a fact. They're stealing the jobs. They're creating more traffic. They overload social systems. They steal people's identities to get government benefits. They steal, obviously, a bunch of other different type of entitlement programs like food stamps, etc. They do jobs for cents on the dollar that should be made for Americans, or they should be improved by automation instead of relying on illegals as a working class of people. The reason why people think this is because it's true. And also, by the way, they just showed up in our fucking country. Why the fuck should we be okay with people showing up in our country? We didn't say they could be here.
Exactly.
What a ridiculous thing to say. Oh, people want to come here. Too bad. It's like even the base impulse of this is outrageous. Like the amount of entitlement that these people have is disgusting to me. It is. It's absolutely disgusting. That's what the natives said too, no? Yeah, and look what happened to them. Not so good, huh? Yeah, I don't want to end up like that.
One of the big rhetoric pushes, and part of what we're trying to do is challenge this misinformation, right? So
misinformation.
It's not misinformation.
Show a couple of videos here. So we've done like voice of the people style interviews to ask people about their understanding about migration across U.S.-Mexico border. So let me see if this...
Public opinion on why people migrate to U.S.
So on this part, they go around and they do some interviews for the creation of this game where they essentially run into people that are not from the U.S. and ask them questions about how they feel about immigration. Like it's like going to a criminal and asking, how do you feel about crime? Well, I'm pro-crime. It's been pretty beneficial to my life so far. Well, yeah, no fucking shit. Why don't you go ask the regular legal citizens how they feel about it? But they don't seem to get any of those when they compose these interviews.
Oh, hold on. I want to make sure this audio works.
This is a video game?
Friends. Let me see. Hold on. Let's try this.
Quality of life, right? Like
I think it's like most things when it comes to immigration. It's always you're either fleeing something or want to get to something.
Yeah, duh.
And like I know there's a lot of like violence and like drug problems in and around the border, like with the cartels.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine it's just a lot of fleeing that really for
human trafficking,
safety for their families.
Poor countries, they are not making good money. And
I come here
of the people
illegally, and
from many countries,
take
people
advantage of American
of living in the United States because they are sending to families money which they are making here. I mean, what we see here, it's like a not big money, like $15-20 per hour.
American work there. People would take who are more refugees than anything else, the jobs no one wants.
The American dream, pretty much.
It's their constant argument. They take the jobs that no one wants. This is the white Karen who's a moron.
I've been trying to warn y'all about this. I've been trying to tell y'all about this.
Shame on the Americans that won't do the jobs that quote unquote no one wants to do.
Disingenuous for them to say migration when the
desperate,
debate
you're homeless,
is about
you're
illegal
living in a
immigration.
tent. You mean to tell me you're still so stuck up?
That's the reason why.
That you refuse to accept a job picking fruit in a field or working on a farm or doing something else. You're just too good for it. You can't find a job.
The American dream, pretty much.
You can't find a job. You're living in a tent. You're homeless, but you're just too good to go clean bathrooms at an office building or work on a farm and pick fruit. I mean, that's your line right there. It's not living in the tent and being on a burden on society, being a loser on the side of the road. Your line and shaking a change jar so people at an intersection will stop and give you free money. Your line is having to do a job that most Americans don't like. This is why I don't accept this as an excuse when the left brings this up. I made that argument when the big hubbub was going on about the illegal immigrants that were working in the fields, picking fruit and vegetables and stuff. And the left was making this big argument. If they don't do it, who will do it? And I said, well, regular Americans can do that. Well, regular Americans don't want to do that. It's backbreaking and it's horrible. It's awful. I said, wait a minute. Is your point that Americans are too good to do those jobs so that you should bring over illegal immigrants in order to come over here and do shit jobs that is beneath regular people? Because I think earlier in this country's history, we already did that. We nabbed some people and brought them over, and we had them do jobs that we didn't want to have to labor in the fields and do. So the left's entire argument was, well, this should essentially be a paid slavery. You should have these illegals doing these shit jobs because regular Americans don't want anything to do with it, or the pay isn't all that great, so they want nothing to do with it. Okay, so you're saying that the people that you are defending are lower class citizens that can only do lower class human beings, because they're not citizens, lower class human beings that can only do lower class work. And also Americans don't want to do it because we're not going to get enough pay or there's not enough incentive. So you fix that by not having illegals do it, first of all. You cut that part out. And then you change that job so that it is enticing for Americans to come in and do it. They shouldn't be getting away with paying lower and minimum wages. They shouldn't be getting away with screwing people over that are coming to work for them. They should have to pay, at a bare minimum, a fair wage. And any Americans who after having that change are sticking their nose up at that job, you're the problem. You don't have the right to complain about anything. You're the problem. If you're so desperate that you can't find a job anywhere, there shouldn't be a job that you're sticking your nose up and saying, I refuse to do it, I'm better than that. It's ridiculous.
This time, I think from back then, it's completely different. Mm-hmm. People come in to better their lives and better their family lives, more opportunities, better living.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was in New York City, where I guess people have a sense of, you know, some of the motivations behind migration.
By the
so
way,
she says there is New York City.
So if you have a map of the U.S., New York City's all the way up here, and the border's all the way down here. So if you ever hear a New Yorker talking about how good illegal immigration is, just keep in mind that unless the people get bussed up to New York, a lot of times they don't even have to deal with it because they're on the completely other side of the border. It's delusional. Yeah, they have like, it's insane. Yep.
Let me just see.
Martha's Vineyard?
Is
Yeah,
it
definitely.
possible to raise the volume a bit, by the way? Sorry to the AV team. Could people hear that okay? Or, oh yeah, it was fine? Okay, cool. All right. Let me see if I can go back here.
Okay, so do we get to watch the game?
Apologies.
Do we get? I don't care about like this. This is
a goal with Take Us North is really to try to humanize migrant stories and capture some of the complexity and nuance. So yeah, as I said, it's a narrative-driven game,
straight up
inspired
propaganda.
by real-world stories. So we're conducting extensive interviews with
Take Us North plays the role of migrant. Players assume the role of a migrant guy who embodies the complex interplay of duty and empathy. I wonder if he sexually traffics the women that he's helping move over the border.
Exactly.
They probably won't do that, will they? No, because it might make what they're saying look bad, even though that's exactly what happens. I wonder if you're able to molest the women that you help come across the border with. Probably not. I wonder why. It's because it's not about telling an accurate story. It's about telling a lie.
With migrants and asylum seekers, and I'll dig into our approach to that in a bit. But basically, in the game, you play the role
Kids
of a
also,
migrant
of course.
guide or a guia, often known as coyotes. Coyotes are often associated with the drug trade.
I gotta speak the proper way if I say coyotes, mira.
But it's more complicated than that, and
it is more complicated. It's worse.
That's why we want to show this game, because we believe in video games as one of the most immersive art forms and as a tool to foster empathy and awareness of
It's not empathy at all. You want to come to another country and experience its resources and then take advantage of it while not respecting that country's borders. You want to go into the country illegally against their consent. You know that you're not supposed to be here. You're going here anyway. You want to talk about empathy? I think that should start at the beginning whenever you come somewhere where you know you're not supposed to be. Why y'all put up with these retards? Honestly, I think that the time of putting up with these people is almost over. It is coming to a close, and I am so fucking glad.
Somebody get Big Keen in here.
It's almost done.
topics. Okay, so we watch those videos. Yes.
Narrative vision, real world stories and hardship. We're collaborating with Undocumented Filmmakers Collective. Oh my God.
The project is really rooted in research, as I said. So we are collaborating closely with anthropologists. There's a lab at the University of California, Los Angeles, that's run by a professor called Jason.
So they're working with a university in California for this. I would have never expected such a dramatic change of events. Wow. Can you believe that? Who would have thought? Yeah. In what world a U.S. person comes to Germany to virtue signal about their problems? Imagine traveling to the EU to promote such a game. Well, I don't know where she's from. I have no idea. How do you use your brain dealing with this shit every day and not want to blow your brains out? Because I know that, like, whenever I talk about this stuff and I cover it, I think that I'm doing a public service. I think I'm helping people realize how blatantly manipulative, toxic, problematic, and bad it is. I think that there is an overabundance of emotionally charged messaging that is designed intentionally to make.
So there's one part here. We are collaborating with the Undocumented Filmmakers Collective. So what this is saying here is the illegals, filmmakers collective. So illegals are blatantly setting up a filmmakers collective and participating in doing all this. They're not supposed to be in this country. They shouldn't even be a part of this. Curating writers' rooms enriched by the unique lived experience and stories from his artist members. Our work is grounded in research as we've partnered with the UCLA anthropologists and subject matter experts. So it's like you're going to dig for artifacts while you're crossing over the border illegally as well. Here's one still here. Karen recalls what she's seen in the last few months: scabies, parasites, scorpion bites, and broken bones as part of their journey where they're crossing the border and trying to come into this country illegally.
You give up your country, to give up your culture, to give up your morality, and to instead effectively adopt someone else's. It's not about you being not judgmental. It's about letting somebody else judge you and letting them decide what's okay, letting them tell you what's acceptable, letting them dictate their idea of empathy.
The context that we're trying to portray in the game. So, of course, the U.S.-Mexico border, and it's primarily set in the Sonoran Desert, which is one of the deadliest migrant trails. And there are deterrence policies that Border Patrol has where they'll essentially like weaponize nature, and they're trying to keep...
Thank God. Thank God. Be lucky it's not worse. That's some alligator Alcatraz shit. That's the way it should be.
Migrants in the desert for as long as possible, suffering from, extreme heat, extreme cold.
The migrants just spawned there. They chose to go there. You decided to do this.
Walking days across the desert, and unfortunately thousands of migrants have died or gone missing on these trails.
Then they shouldn't have gone on the trail. They shouldn't have done it.
Right.
Yeah, they shouldn't have done it. Maybe if you don't want to have this bad happen to you, maybe just don't do it. Do not come.
I've gone myself and walked along the trails and done, on-the-ground work with humanitarian groups, and we'll talk about that. But there are also other aspects of the trail which I'll dig into.
Oh my God!
And just some examples of the team going to visit the lab at UCLA.
Survival and hope in the world of human smuggling. What a bunch of fucking bullshit. This is the problem that I think these people have, is that they're like, you really think human trafficking is about survival and hope? Oh my God.
where we could see artifacts that were left in the desert by migrants.
Can we see the video game
on a
yet?
recent trip that I
Wait, video games?
Video game yet?
What do you mean about video games?
Artifacts that have been left by illegal immigrants. What they're broken plastic bottles and discarded clothes and trash. Is this the artifacts that we're going to be finding in the game?
Artifacts that migrants had left behind. So they're still doing this to this day.
Artifacts? Well, she's acting like she's finding like a Native American Indian, like, fucking arrowhead from the 1400s. What, like a Coke can?
Making this journey, even despite everything that's happening in the U.S., because there's a lot of misinformation on both sides, actually, right? Like,
can of Pringles?
Latin Americans and immigrants from around the world are being sold this concept of the American dream and that you can cross the border in this way, and it's very complex. And one of the things, too, that I think is not captured very well is that migrants from all over the world are actually traveling to Latin America in an attempt to make the journey to the U.S. So
that's what Donald Trump has been saying. Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem. Exactly. That's the issue. It's a little bit of a self-report, don't you think?
You see people from Southeast Asia, from Africa. It's not just Mexicans and it's not just Latin Americans, right? And I think this is something that also not that many people are aware of.
Everybody knows that.
And in the game,
here's some of the artifacts. Bottles, water bottles that they were using, blacked out bottles that they did, so that way it's harder to see at night. She's going to explain that at one point. A cracked bottle, so littering. So the artifacts that you can find in this game, should you want to play it for some unknown reason, is litter. So if you go to New York or somewhere, the big city, there is a whole bunch of quote unquote quote artifacts for you to find littering the streets, and it is the overwhelming amounts of garbage.
We try to do this environmental storytelling that's based on...
So let me get this straight. Your idea of environmental storytelling is putting 2 bottles of water next to some rocks. This is environmental storytelling.
A lot of the research. So one example is migrants will actually carry these black water bottles because they believe that they're less conspicuous to U.S. Border Patrol. And there's this saying where they'll say it's better to be hot than caught, in that having these black water bottles actually makes the water almost undrinkable because it's unbearably hot, right? It insulates the heat. But, this is a very clandestine world, and something that we are trying to do through the game is shine a light on people and humans that are often cast in the shadows, right? They're fleeing persecution and violence, and they're living a life in hiding from the moment
That's crazy. Wow. That sucks. Too bad. Not our problem.
Flee their homes because it's often the
Why don't you stay there and make it better?
That are going after them, and I'll kind of talk about that. But and then they have to face Mexican Border Patrol and Border Patrol within Central America as well, where the U.S. has been training Border Patrol agencies in other countries as well. So it's a very complex, system and route, and it's not just happening at the border itself, but it starts all the way in South America. You can see an example of a rescue beacon here. So this is real. The image at the top is, in the desert.
Self-report red button.
And you can see they have this illustration of an emaciated, desperate migrant, which is just very sad and kind of repulsive to me, truthfully.
Yeah, it is. I can't believe they'd try to come in our country illegally. This is the way that they try to weaponize your empathy against you so they can take advantage of you, is that they say, well, we have to cross the desert. Well, no, you don't have to, because you shouldn't even be here in the first place. No, you shouldn't be coming here. You shouldn't be going in this direction. You shouldn't be trying to come into a country illegally. This is ridiculous. Not emaciated enough. I mean, she said tons of people died doing it. I mean, I bet they did. Yeah.
but it's Border Patrol kind of saying like, we'll rescue you if you need help. So they know that the migrants are in dire straits in these situations.
And you can see how also in this entire story, not once has there been any conversation about how the people that are the human traffickers are problematic at all. There's no conversation about that. It's because this is not an academic pursuit. This is not something that's being done in order for people to understand things. It's being done in order to push a specific worldview that is intentionally like subversive to America. And this is also true with Europe. It happens with Europe too. It's propaganda.
So we've been collaborating closely with a shelter, a couple of shelters now in Mexico, specifically in Nogales, which is on the border between Arizona and Mexico, which is where the Sonoran Desert is. And I've been going down there and also like on a bi-weekly basis, conducting phone and video interviews with asylum seekers and people who have, had to flee their homes because they've either been threatened by cartels in some way. They have not wanted to get recruited, especially in the case of young men, where young men are, it's either they join the carteles or they risk dying, right? And so their only option is to flee.
Every negative consequence from their own actions to be somebody else's fault. It's like all of these bad things.
So
are
here's some of the shit
but
graphics
it's somebody
from
else's fault that it's
this
happening.
game. These
travel across
stills.
Mexico, and
so they're on the train.
It's something that we're capturing in the
which
game
they call
well.
the beast or something like that, and it takes them
another,
from
very deadly
part of the
migrant
journey.
trail, which is between Colombia and Panama.
You can see the Border Patrol agents that are T-posed around the water, I guess ready to arrest somebody after they get out of the water. Oh my God.
And migrants will, have to trek through rivers and jungle.
Yeah.
And this is a very early prototype, by the way, but just kind of so that you get a sense of the visuals.
When you wouldn't have to do that if you just stayed where you came
we
from and then you visited legally
to
as
show
a guest.
Again, like the breadth of this
And,
story.
like any of us would do if we went on vacation. We went to go see another country.
I've been working with some
humanitarian borders. Oh God!
You get to stay for a couple of weeks for your vacation.
I'll go ahead towards the end. Why this matters more than now.
We've been collaborating with, and
we enjoy our time. We enjoy seeing the people of the culture, and then we fuck off back where we came from. That's what you're supposed to do. These people want to force their way in, make demands about what they believe they're entitled to.
Biden had an app for
get our
all
tax
of the illegal aliens who should have never fucking been here, and asylum seekers who also should have never fucking been here. Trump, on the first day of the app, reprogrammed the app, canceled everybody's appointments, and then changed the app into a self-deportation app.
They had many of them had spent months, even years in hiding and in constant movement and migration, hoping for a chance to find refuge in the States. And now there is no asylum.
Finding refuge. I wonder if somebody tried to find refuge in your house, would you be okay with that? Probably not, right? And so it's always, these people always like writing checks that somebody else has to pay for.
And so this didn't just impact, immigrants in Mexico, but obviously on a global scale, there's been so much happening. And therefore, we need support, and we want to be able to support all of the different groups, both grassroots nonprofits, large-scale NGOs that are doing the work to try to ameliorate these conditions and try to
these NGOs are going extinct, by the way, because the way that they were getting funded has been getting cut off. That's why so many of them have been shut down.
Yeah, USAID.
Really make a change if we can do anything about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have? Okay. I'm running out of time. There's the trailer.
Okay. Let's see the trailer.
We won't do the trailer.
Wait. So you spent the entire time talking about how bad this was and just playing your propaganda, but you're not going to play the trailer for your video game at a video game convention? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my God.
Okay.
It's all propaganda, bleeding heart bullshit.
Okay, I'm done. That was it.
Wow. And so they're supposed to show their shit game.
Wow.
Where you can funnel people illegally into the United States.
So you didn't even show the.
You can have a small part in it.
I don't even know what to say about something like this. It's so fucking ridiculous. Oh my God. Well, there it is. That actually made me kind of mad. I hate people like this. I hate the manipulation of it. I hate the way that they portray themselves as victims, as they're doing something wrong that they know is wrong.
Yeah, and the whole thing is just a propaganda machine. That's all it is. There's anyone that games, and apparently Microsoft, of course, being a left-wing company, is willing to back some of this project. So look for this down the road to maybe show up on the Xbox store as a garbage game that you can buy. If you're so absolutely bored out of your mind, you can help illegals cross the border into the United States and come into this country illegally. You too can do your part. What I really want, and I would actually pay real money for, is I want the ICE simulator. I want to be able to go and catch all these people at the border, arrest them, hunt them down in cities, a GTA-style sandbox game. I will pay whatever price you put on it to make the ICE game. I don't want this crap. No one wants this crap. I will play the ICE simulator. Absolutely. Okay, so moving on here to illegals. The Hyundai plant here in Georgia ended up getting raided and found a whole bunch of Koreans. I didn't really see that one coming.
Arrested nearly 500 people. Federal agents arrested nearly 500 people during an immigration raid in Georgia earlier this week. Homeland Security officials called it the largest single-site enforcement operation in the agency's history. It happened at a Hyundai electrical vehicle manufacturing plant in Ellabelle, about 25 miles west of Savannah. Most of those detained were South Korean nationals. It is the latest in a string of workplace raids by the Trump administration as part of the president's mass deportation push. Skylar Henry has more.
All yours. Video filmed inside the plant shows armed Homeland Security agents executing a search warrant Thursday.
We need construction to cease immediately. We need all work to end on the site right now.
Officers can be seen outside, rounding up hundreds of workers in yellow vests. Nearly 500 people were arrested. The majority were South Korean nationals. U.S. officials said all had either entered the country illegally, overstayed their visas, or were not authorized to work. Stephen Schrank is the special agent in charge.
Together, we are sending a clear and unequivocal message that those who exploit our workforce, undermine our economy, and violate federal laws will be held accountable.
The massive $7.6 billion battery plant, a joint venture between South Korean companies LG and Hyundai, covers nearly 3,000 acres and is the largest economic project in Georgia's history.
On behalf of all Georgians, I want to thank you.
3 years ago, Governor Brian Kemp welcomed its opening.
Brian
Authorities
Kemp,
alleged the plant had been under investigation for what it said were illegal practices for months.
There's helicopters, Humvees, Georgia State Police.
Production supervisor Casey Deacon was at the facility when the raid took place.
I would assume they would continue, production. However, with that significant loss with personnel, I don't know how they're going to go forward.
Hire some Americans.
And LG said that they are cooperating with law enforcement. All of this comes just a week after the South Korean president met with President Trump at the White House to talk about trade and tariffs. The Korean president pledged $150 billion by Korean companies to the U.S., and that includes $26 billion by Hyundai. For CBS Saturday Morning.
Shut the fuck up. All right, so, Kemp has some explaining to do. That scumbag wannabe pretending that he's a Republican, bringing this company in. You mean to tell me he's not aware of any of their practices? He doesn't know what's going on there, that they're bringing illegals into his state to work at a massive 3,000-acre plant. He has no fucking idea? And you've heard Trump attacking Kemp before. And now look at it and see what a shitbag he really is and realize, hey, what Trump was saying about Kemp being a scumbag wasn't off the mark. Governor Kemp is actually a scumbag. Okay, so going to the final story here. This is about this poor young Ukrainian refugee who was murdered on a subway train. It ended up being last month. It's all of the footage and additional information is being released now. But here's one guy on here, a black man on TikTok, talking about this and saying it.
We don't have a crime problem.
Like it is.
We have a race problem and a nigger problem. A 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee was stabbed to death by a nigger whose name I won't even say. And I think he deserves a lesser title than nigger. I think calling him a nigger is too disrespectful to the word nigger. This is a prime example for why people don't like being around niggers and are skeptical anytime they're around black people. We are the main reason for why people in this country don't like black people. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm not a fan of the Ukrainian refugees being here. However, the fact that a Ukrainian refugee escapes a war-torn country, where a country being bombed, her countrymen being killed, they come over here to the United States where she thinks it's safe, gets fucking killed by some nigga on a train. This is what makes people racist. This is what makes people biased. This is what makes people have prejudice towards black people. It's behavior like this that we don't call out, that we don't police, and we don't get these fucking people off the street. Black fatigue is increasing significantly. And I'm telling you this, when people bounce back, everyone in this country, it's not going to be nice for us as black people. We don't.
So that guy just telling some truth from the black perspective. And so here's the story here, and we're going to try and get into a little bit of it. But you had a 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee killed on North Carolina transit system. So North Carolina police are investigating the slaying of a 23-year-old Ukrainian woman on board a Charlotte area transit system train last month. The victim, who was identified by police as Irina Zarutska, had recently come to the U.S. from Ukraine to escape the war with Russia. According to a GoFundMe started by her family, her death has generated national attention and outrage from President Donald Trump. Officers from the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department responded to the 1800 block of Camden Road following a call reporting an assault with a deadly weapon on August 22nd. According to a police news release, Zarutska had been stabbed on the Lynx Blue Line train near the light rail station. She was a very, very pretty young woman. She could have been modeling. She was coming back from working at a pizza joint. I mean, she was just doing blue-collar work and trying to survive. Officers found the 23-year-old had sustained knife wounds, and she was pronounced dead on the scene. Police said DeCarlos Brown Jr., 34, was identified as a suspect in the stabbing. He's not just a suspect. It literally shows him doing it on video. Police said he was taken to a local hospital with life-threatening injuries sustained at the time of the incident, and he will be arrested and charged with first-degree murder upon his release from the hospital. What the fuck is he being sent to the hospital for? He did the stabbing. What happened to him? Did he trip on a brick? Gives a fuck. Surveillance video obtained by WBTV shows someone who appears to be Zarutska getting on a full train and sitting in front of a person. The train wasn't full. Who appears to be Brown. After a few minutes, a person reported to be Brown seemingly takes out a pocket knife, stands up, and allegedly stabs the individual sitting in front of him. There did not appear to be any interaction between the two people before the alleged stabbing. In a statement, Charlotte Mayor V. Lies called the incident a senseless and tragic loss. Well, no shit. Another Democrat shithole that needs to be put in place. My prayers remain with her loved ones fuck your prayers. As I continue to grieve through an unimaginable time, like so many of you, I'm heartbroken and I've been thinking hard about what safety really looks like in our city. Fucking think harder, dummy. Lyle said, I remain committed to doing all we can to protect our residents and ensure Charlotte is a place where everyone feels safe. Zarutska had recently left Ukraine, seeking safety from the war and hoping for a new beginning, according to the GoFundMe, seeking support for her aunt and uncle with funeral expenses. Trump mentioned the stabbing Monday while delivering remarks during the second hearing of the Religious Liberty Commission in Washington, D.C., saying there are evil people and we have to confront that. A lunatic just got up and started. It's right on the tape, not just really watchable because it's so horrible, he said, but viciously stabbed. She's just sitting there. So there are evil people. We have to be able to handle that. If we don't handle that, we don't have a country. Her death has also spurred rebukes from others on the right who have accused the media of purposely not covering the incident. And that's true. For the longest time, they didn't until there was such a push from regular people like you and I that were bringing this up and going, what the fuck aren't you talking about it? And it's because a black man murdered an innocent white woman. So it completely destroys the left's narrative. So they can't talk about it. It shoots down everything that they're coming from. White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller blamed the Democratic Party for the incident. Democratic Party at every level, judges, politicians, academics, and nonprofits, is organized around the defense and protection of the criminal, the monstrous and the depraved, he wrote in a post on X. The more vile the threat, the more viciously the Democratic Party works to protect and enable it. Elon Musk, who formerly held an unofficial advisory role in the Trump administration, commented on the incident in several posts on X. Let's change the law, Musk wrote in one X post. Between now and then, name and shame the DAs and judges who enable murder, rape, and robbery, but especially shame those who funded the campaigns of the DA and judges. That will make the biggest difference. The investigation into the attack is ongoing. So this guy had an extensive criminal record. He had been arrested, I think it was 14 times, and the last one was released on no cash bail. So he didn't have to put any money to get out. Apparently, when his mother was asked about this, she said that she spoke out and said he needed to be in an institution. He was out of his mind. He shouldn't have been on the street. He shouldn't have been allowed out there to hurt people. And instead, the Democratic Party and left-wing judges said, oh, you poor black man, I feel so bad for you. You've had a rough go of it. Go ahead and go back on the street and kill more innocent people in America. And that's what they did. The judge should face manslaughter charges. The DA should face manslaughter charges. They facilitated in the death of this young woman, and they should be held almost as equally as responsible as this guy himself for doing it. So he's probably going to face life or potentially the death penalty. That doesn't bring this poor woman back again. And it's absolutely awful. I don't know if let's see what the video has.
Newly released surveillance video shows the moment
her's coming onto the train.
Zarutska boarded the CATS train at the East-West
She sits in front of this nut job.
Down in front of a man identified by police as DeCarlos Brown. 4 minutes later, he suddenly pulls a knife out, and stabs her multiple times.
He casually takes the switchblade out, flips it, and then kind of puts it back in his lap, and he's looking out the window again. And then for no reason at all, he gets up and stabs this poor woman right in the neck. She wasn't looking to see who she was sitting in front of, what weirdo scumbag was there. She's just, very innocent. If I saw some ghetto thug scumbag, I would have taken myself or the family and moved to another seat. I wouldn't have sat anywhere near this motherfucker.
Shocked to hear that. I was like, really? Because I just wrote it hours before. I'd be on there all the time. I have had words with people, but never violent.
According to video, Brown then walked to the next car, wrapped his hand in a sweater, and left the train. An attack that's left some residents shocked.
Obviously, you get your few people here and there that may cause some type of concern. Like yesterday, I did get followed actually on the train, but I think that's unfortunately, that's normal for women.
And others not so surprised.
Well, I don't feel safe riding public transportation, but I gotta go to work, and I gotta get from point A to point B.
Brown did not have a valid ticket to ride the night of the incident. He's now charged.
Yeah, he wasn't even supposed to be on the train. He hopped the turnstile illegally and got on.
With murder. Mayor Lyles issued a statement following the video's release, calling it senseless and tragic, and extending prayers to the victim's family. CATS says is now increasing patrols on the Blue Line and reviewing safety policies. In Charlotte, Anna King, WCNC Charlotte.
So, what I'm going to say here is this is the reason you need troops in the cities. For anyone that's arguing that this is a totalitarian lockdown of all of us and we're all in a lot of trouble, this young woman just sat down on a train, was on her phone, minded her own business. She wasn't rude to this guy. She didn't give him a dirty look. She didn't do nothing. She found a seat and she sat down. She didn't even see what she thought was a dangerous person and minded her own business. And this absolute nut job just got up and stabbed her to death for no reason at all, no instigation whatsoever. This is why you need troops in the cities, because the Democrats don't care about the American taxpayer. They don't care about innocent people that are trying to go to work and take care of their bills and get from point A to point B. The Democrats, they do not care about you. I don't know how much more this message has to get out to everybody. This is just too thick-headed for it to get through. The Democrats hate you. They hate this country. They hate freedom. They hate everything about it. They want things like this to happen. That's why they let repeat criminals out of jail. It isn't just you poor minority, we're gonna try and help you out. It's not just that. That's part of it. It's way more than that. They want the destabilization of this nation. They want everybody to turn to them and say, please save us, so that they can take over as the dictators of this country to push their will and their agenda. They want all this. Tell me why they continually let criminals out of jails. Tell me why they continually tell the police, let guilty people go. Don't go after them. Why they enact small laws, like in California, as long as you stole less than $1,000 worth of stuff, it was perfectly fine. It was a misdemeanor. We're not coming after you. Why do Democrats work against legal, sane American people who pay their taxes, follow the law, and are just trying to get to work and then get back home again to their families? Why do they continually put all of those people in danger? Why do they put all of us in danger? They have an agenda. This isn't done by accident or incompetence. This is being done on purpose to harm the American people. You know, the Democrats use the black. The Democrats continually hold the black community down. They tell them everyone hates you. All white people don't like you. They don't want you around. You'll never amount to anything, and the system is set up to work against you. And your only saviors are us, the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party holds everyone down, creates the problems, hurts people, and then say, we are your savior. We are the only one that can help you because we understand what you're going through. You know, the situation that we created and masterminded that you have to live in, and you are about to be at a breaking point. The Democrats have masterminded all of that. And then the unsuspecting masses turn around and go, please save us. I don't know what's happening. Help us. And sure, no problem. Just let us enact our rule over the entire country, which will just be 100 years of darkness for the United States if Democrats were able to rule unchallenged. You will get this. The criminals and the worst scum that this country and this planet has to offer, the Democrats will prioritize over you and me and every other legal citizen. They're already doing it right now. This guy was arrested 14 times, released on cashless bail in order to go back out and continue harming the public. And he did by killing an innocent woman as his last act. You have the transgender, the trannies, these mentally ill people. We're supposed to have red flag laws, but you get a dude in a dress and pigtails walks into the store and he's allowed to buy a gun. Why? Why is a disturbed, mentally ill person allowed to buy a gun and go shoot up a church full of kids? The red flag laws are supposed to be there to precisely deal with those things. The worst of mentally ill people. And all transgenders are mentally ill. 100%. No one can make the argument that there's a transgender that has a level head on their shoulders. You are a disturbed, deranged person. If you think your gender is different from what nature made you, you start cutting body parts off and you start taking drugs in order to facilitate the whole transfer. You are a dangerous, mentally ill person. I've said this before online and doing a show. They're all ticking time bombs. They're all Manchurian candidates. You never know when they're going to go off. But when they do, and they've had enough, because they've already crossed over a major line by making the life choice that they did, when they finally pop off, you and your children are in danger. Your kids in school are at danger. These are mentally ill people that should not be given an inch of leeway. If you want to go that route and be someone like that, immediately red flag law right there. Immediately red flag. You can't buy a knife, you can't buy a gun, you can't buy fucking NyQuil. And you should be seeing a therapist or a psychiatrist that is attempting to help you get through your bullshit so you take your head out of your ass and you figure out what you are supposed to be. That's the path that you should be taking. There shouldn't be any other path. But to the left and to the Democrats, you're just a normal tax-paying citizen and you have rights too. Well, with that argument, pedophiles are normal tax-paying citizens that have rights too. They just happen to love children and want to assault children. Right? So where is it? Where's the line? Is there even a line? This guy was already proven he was severely mentally ill. A multiple-time criminal. He shouldn't have even been there in that situation to do what he did. But the left and the Democrats are the ones pushing for the worst of our society, the most violent, the most unhinged and mentally ill, to not only walk among everybody, to have more rights than all of us, and to be able to hurt you whenever they feel like it. If you fight back, maybe you're going to jail like Daniel Penny on the subway in New York, when he had that mentally ill crackhead that said he wanted to kill people on the train. And he gets taken to court for choking the guy out and defending others on the train. Or you can just be an innocent person that minds your business, sits down on the train, and gets stabbed by one of the mentally ill people. So, when are we going to put all of the mentally ill people exactly where they belong, which is in a mental asylum, an insane asylum? And when are we going to start offering some safety to the American taxpayer who follows the rules, pays our bills, and goes back and forth to work every day and takes care of our families? The priority should be with the sane American citizens, not the disturbed, mentally ill. So a horrible thing that happened to this woman, and the reason that we need troops, not only in D.C., but in Chicago, in New York, in everywhere else. You need them. I'm going to end up doing another update because they're talking about putting troops in Chicago, potentially putting troops in Chicago, troops in Portland as well. Trump has talked about that. Portland is an Antifa stronghold. That the scumbag Antifa groups, you absolutely need troops there, and you absolutely need troops in Chicago, and you need them in New York too, and apparently you need them here in North Carolina as well. All right, that's tonight's show for the Shitbag Roundup. Thank you for all the new members that we've been getting and everyone that's sticking with us. I'm trying to get the show off the ground. I hope people appreciate it, and please like, share, support, and most importantly, subscribe. And I'll see you later on this week with more updates. Thank you, everyone.